guest is Eyal Waldman. He is the co-founder of the Israeli chip designer Mellanox Technologies. In 1999, that's when he founded it, and for many years hired Israeli and Palestinian tech workers. NVIDIA bought his company a few years ago for about $7 billion, and earlier this month, tragedy struck his family. His daughter, Danielle, and his daughter's boyfriend, Noam, were killed when Hamas terrorists attacked the tribe of Nova, which was that music festival in Israel. He later met with President Biden when the president visited Israel, and he joins us now this morning. Eyal Waldman is the chairman of the Waldo Holdings and, again, the co-founder of Mellanox Technologies. I can't even begin to know how to have this conversation. I am so sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
And I'm hoping you can just help our audience and the public understand the emotions of it for you, and then also we can expand that conversation to think about more broadly what should happen in this moment in the Middle East. But why don't we start with how you found out about this, how you learned about it, and what I can't even begin how you feel.
Yeah, I found about, I was in Indonesia on vacation and completely isolated island, and then my son guy called me, said Danielle Dandush is missing and there's engagements down in the south. She was in a party. I found out she's missing, so I got on a plane, and then they enabled me to land here, although they closed already on Sunday the skies for certain flights, but I was able to land here on Sunday night, and then Monday morning I took my car and my Jeep and joined General Israel Ziv and went looking for her. When we got in there was an engagement with terrorists of seven, a unit of seven that split into three, and there was a significant engagement. While we were there was still, the territory was not clean, and there were still terrorists in the territory. We screwed up. Our Israel Defense Forces, our intelligence, our defense forces didn't do what they should have done, and there were a lot of mistakes. What happened is that on Saturday, about 1,500 terrorists have penetrated Israel, about 20 villages, and this music festival that was there for peace, love, and friendship and freedom. And they have conquered the south part of the Gaza Strip, around Gaza Strip villages of Israel. They came in and they invited 2,000 citizens to come and slaughter, rape, behead, burn, did awful things to people that didn't do nothing. I started hearing about this, so when I went south to look for Danielle, I was already ready for some of those awful things that have been done. We've took a Jeep and 3 officers, Army Jeep, and we located the car that was full of bullets from the back of about 3 Kalashnikov. We saw a trail of 3 Kalashnikov shells that shot them in the back. Then we saw a Toyota SUV with 3 Palestinian bodies inside. And then in front of them, south of the car, we saw a motorcycle, which we also accepted was part of the attack of Danielle and her friend's car.
And I understand that one of the ways you found her and tracked her was her Apple Watch?
It was actually her Apple phone. You know, they have an SOS emergency call when you do a crash. So the phone has identified that they went through a crash, which they did. So what we found is the car started driving on the right side, but then Noam, who was the driver, the car crashed into the sideways of the road. It was a small road, and that's where we found. So the phone dialed the emergency numbers. It was my ex-wife and me, and that's how I got a GPS location of where they were probably killed, murdered.
I know this is so raw, and I have to imagine so emotional for you. How do you think about even the broader context of this moment? I know you met with President Biden. I think there's a lot of people watching this morning, business leaders, policy makers who are watching you right now, who are trying to think through what the right next steps are in this moment, and a raging, unfortunate debate about what the right answers are.
So there's difference between the short and the long term. For the short term, we must destroy Hamas. We must destroy Islamic Jihad. the same as you have done to ISIS. Those organizations are evil organizations. They're fighting the free world, and they should not exist anymore. Actually, the citizens of Gaza should help us, should thank us that we're freeing the citizens of Gaza from Hamas that has used them. If you remember, Hamas has thrown PLO Palestinians from roofs. Hamas has killed Gaza citizens that did not support them. Hamas is using Gaza citizens as human shields. So we're now freeing Gaza citizens from Hamas. These operations are defense operation. This is not an offensive operations. Israel, we do not want to hurt any citizens. We do not want to hurt innocent people. We're building humanitarian corridors where they can get south of Gaza City. And we're opening them for hours. I have 3 friends that are F-16 fighter pilots. We're opening those corridors. Hamas is bombing those corridors. But it's been now over 11 days that they could have gone south according to the instructions that the IDF has given them. And from now on, we're going to destroy anyone, Hamas, Jihad Islamic, and anyone associated with them that is left in Gaza City. The Israel forces, after sure that it is blew up or it's free of citizens or innocent people, we flatten the territory. We are not yet going down underground because we're looking for hostages. Our number 1 priority is bring back 210 hostages, which are babies, children, women, elder people, and men that have been taking hostages into Gaza. By the way, some of the Gaza citizens are holding citizens. It's not just the terrorists. So this is our first priority for the IDF, and then to destroy Hamas and Jihad Islamic. We need to remember that we're protecting the free world, because if we don't do this now, those guys will reach Europe, will reach the US, and you see what happened in Belgium, you see what happened in France, you see what happened in Sweden, in Britain. We're not against Islam. We're not against Muslims. We are.
But help us with this, though, because I think that there's an increasing perception around the world that innocent civilians in Palestine are being killed in the process, and how to think about that and how to do this and separate Hamas from those that are innocent, and how you can do that in a strategic and surgical way, and can it be done? And if it can't be done, how the public is supposed to think about that?
So first, let's remember that 2,000 citizens, Gaza citizens, penetrated Israel, killed, butchered, raped, burned Israeli citizens that have done nothing. So in addition to the 1,500 terrorists, there were more than 2,000 civilians, Gazan civilians, that came in and did these horrible things. And I think Gaza civilians still have hostages. So let's not forget this. That's number 1. Number 2, we really are trying to do everything we can not to hurt civilians. We're trying not to hurt, and we're helping innocent people. We're giving them humanitarian corridors for hours to go south, to go to the water that we've provided them, to go to safe places, not stay where Hamas and Islamic Jihad are. So we really are doing a lot of effort to protect the citizens of Gaza. We want to help them get free of Hamas. I want to talk about the long term for a second. In the long term, we need to stop killing each other. We've been doing this for over 75 years, and I believe we can strive for peace. I've employed, as you said, Palestinian employees, both in the Palestinian Authority, in the West Bank, in Rawabi, in Hebron, in Nablus. I was the first guy to open a design center and offices in Rawabi. I made sure that we have employees in Gaza. It was very important to me, and we had about 25 employees in Gaza. Extremely important to me to build. I've also donated and raised $360,000 to build a department in a field hospital in Gaza. They asked me to raise $250,000. I gave $360,000 to build a chemotherapy department for the Gazan hospital to help the Gazan people. And then I did another initiative for peace with some people Palestinians that eventually did not continue because they were stopped by, I think, their government. But I think for the long term, we need to find the way to live next to each other in a peaceful manner with 2 states for the 2 people. If you remember, in 73, we had the Yom Kippur War. The worst enemy that my father was fighting was Egyptians. So in 73, we had an awful fight, an awful war with Egypt, and they took some of Sinai and that In 77, 4 years later, we've done peace with our worst enemy at that time. My father thought that this is unbelievable that we can do peace with the enemy he fought. I hope that now, after this amazing crisis where a lot of people are being hurt, we will eventually be able to converge between the two people. I think the leaderships of both sides should probably be replaced and find the right leadership to work together, shoulder to shoulder, and do what's the best thing for people. The Palestinians, I hope, after this operation, will come to the conclusion that the best thing for them to strive for peace, which is not done until now.
Right.
And
Eyal,
this is the main issue we have.
before we let you go, just on a very personal level, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. My ex-wife, Dandu's mother, is doing less okay. You know, she woke me up yesterday, said she dreamed about Daniel with a wedding dress, which she will never wear. But I think she'll be okay. And her brother and sister also going through a very difficult process. I'm trying to keep myself busy talking to you guys and other people, trying to do the right thing for Israel, also for the Palestinians and for the world. And that's what keeps me busy. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank President Biden. Was amazing in the meeting with us. He was very, very engaged. He knew exactly, he said, you don't need to be a Jew to be a Zionist. He said with his father, they talked about the Holocaust. He said, we were not there for you during the Holocaust. He said, you should keep the international rules of war. And I think Israel is doing that. And he said, we should think of the day after what's going on. And I think it's completely right on spot. He did amazing things. We'd like to thank the U.S. President and the United States for putting the Navy here. I think the U.S. Navy here is not to help us fight Hamas or Jihad or Hezbollah. We can do this ourselves. The purpose of the U.S. Navy is to protect from having the Third World War here, to protect the second and third lines of Yemen, Iran, and other entities that are farther away and prevent a possible small or larger scale Third World War. And this is why we thank the United States, the President of the United States, and the Navy. I know that our Air Force is coordinated with the Navy Air Force in terms of what are the missions and what are the things. And I really thank the United States for all the help, also including helping us with trying to release the hostages, which is our #1 priority now. Get back the hostages home. It's priority #1 for us.
Absolutely. Eyal, we want to thank you this morning for sharing your story. We want to wish you well. We want to wish your family well. And we hope we have opportunity to talk to you again very soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I hope we'll be eventually successful to build peace between the two people.
Absolutely. Thank you. Squawk.